Hi guys, it's Claire, Perceiving Life, and this video is going to show you how I am making sourdough bread starter start to finish. This method goes against a lot of what I've seen for other recommendations, so I don't know if it's going to work. I've never done this before, so obviously there's no experience required. I will post the link to the guide that I followed in the description box below, but we're just going to get started. Today's day 1. You need 7 days for it to be good. This is Sunday night, so it should be ready by Saturday, which is awesome because I'm wanting to make some bread this coming weekend, you know, the next one I get. So first things first is your flour. The lady in the thingy that I saw used rye flour, which is great. I am using organic bread flour. This is King Arthur brand, and it is unbleached, unbaromated, or bromated, or whatever the word is, the actual word. It's an American product, it's non-GMO, and it's organic, so why not love that, right? So the first step is taking a cup, and I could only find a 1/4 cup measuring cup because I never ever use measuring cups. But the idea is to get a cup, no idea if it should be sifted or not, of this flour. You're going to want to use a glass container, I think is what she said, which is what I have. And there we go. Get flour everywhere. That is also a requirement. So there we go. There you go, Ollie. Next thing is, I guess I'm gonna use my scoop bag. Putting in about a cup-ish of water. You want it to look like, she said you want it to look like pancake batter. So for her rye flour, she needed to add a little bit more water. But you want to start with about equal parts. So I'm going to try and do this without making a gigantic mess. Alright, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so I'm going to take my fork and combine all of these things and just check the consistency. I don't really, like I said, I've never done this before, so I don't really know what I'm looking for. But it is a little bit on the thick side. I'll show you. It smells like flour. But it's like obviously lumpy because I didn't do a good job mixing it, but she said it should be about the consistency of pancake batter. I'd make pancakes out of that. So we'll call that good. I won't add any more water. If it looks like I need it later, I'll add more later. But anyway, this is day 1. Over the next 7 days, 6 days, whatever, I will have to feed it every day. You add between 1/4 and 1/2 cup of flour and about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of water every day, and mix it in, and that feeds this culture. The last step for today is covering it with a lint-free kitchen towel or a bunch of cheesecloth. You want air to be able to circulate, but you don't want bugs and dust and critters getting in there. So anyway, I will see you guys again tomorrow when I feed it, and we will look and see what this crazy science experiment looks like. Alright you guys, I'm back for day 2. And let me show you what it looks like. So I don't really have a good way to show you because it's all at the bottom. But there's like all the water has, like the flour stuff has separated to the bottom, and there's a layer of water on top. According to the thing that I saw, this is normal. It smells kind of funky. I'm not even gonna lie. It smells kind of like you've been wearing your shoes too long, but not exactly like that. Just like a very mild organic funk. Like you've been wearing new shoes too long without socks. So what I'm gonna do is, it said to add between 1/4 and a 1/2 cup of new stuff to it. And I've been really debating like what I want to add. Being that there is liquid forming on the top, I think I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water and a little more than a 1/4 cup of flour. I don't know what I'm doing, but it sounds like a plan to me. So I'm just going to get that in there. Dump that in there. And then get me a 1/4 cup of fresh water. And dump that in there. And give her a stir. This has the consistency of Elmer's glue. It's like silly putty or something. Oh, whew, the stink's getting to me. See, now it smells like curdled milk. So, alright. So now it looks like that, which is basically how it looked to begin with. I am pleased that it's like bubbly right now, which means there's some stuff in there trying to eat this stuff, which is good. So I'm going to do the same thing, take my cloth, cover it up, and forget about it until tomorrow. Alright, you guys, we're back for day 3. If you hear the dog losing his mind, we just brought the rabbits in the house tonight, and anyway, that's happening. So we're going to take a peek at, whoa, that is some funk. It smells a lot like paneer, if you're into Indian food. If you're not into Indian food, it kind of smells like sour cream. So I don't know how well you can see that, but it's all like together and very, very bubbly. It looks very glutinous. I'm afraid to tilt it much more or I will dump it out. But that worked well. You know, I was worried yesterday about putting a 1/4 cup, a little more flour. I'm gonna put equal parts in. I put a little more flour than water in yesterday, and I feel like that's done great for this. I mean, again, I don't really know what it's supposed to look like, but I don't feel like it's too watery today. So, same deal. I'm gonna have a 1/4 cup of this stuff. Just dumping it all over the place. Throw that in there, and then a 1/4 cup of that stuff, and a good stir to make it all happen. There's a definitive funk to this. I don't think I've mentioned it. I am using regular tap water. I am not using filtered water, well water, bottled water, or anything. Just regular old tap water. Some say you need filtered water. This said, I don't actually remember what it said, but I do know what I have is tap water. It's like thick and frothy, like it almost looks and feels like if you had a really thick milkshake that you let totally melt and sit out for a couple hours and then you tried to like stir it. That's what I'm feeling right now. So I don't know if you can tell any difference in the video, but anyway, there's that. That is day 3. So we are like almost halfway through it. I'm gonna cover it, set it, and forget it, and I will see you back tomorrow. Alright y'all, we are back for day 4, and at this point, honestly, I thought I was gonna lose interest and or forget to feed it and have to start all over. So I'm really proud to have made it to this moment. You know, after this, it's, you know, 5 and 6 of doing stuff, and then by 7 it'll be ready, so yay, happy fingers. Okay, so at this point, either today or tomorrow, the little vlog thingy said it would probably look like there was nothing happening. So, I don't know if that's true, I haven't looked at it. So, yeah, it looks, I mean, there's definitely some funk. We've got some water on top again. Today it smells like vinegar. Yesterday it smelled kind of like sour cream. Today, you can't even see the collection of water at the bottom, but it's there and it's kind of funky. But it's just this plume of nonsense. So anyway, it's got water sitting on the top, so I'm going to do the same thing that I did the last time there was some water sitting on the top, because I don't know if it's supposed to happen like that or not. But I'm going to take more than a quarter cup of flour and only a quarter cup of water, and hopefully kind of like balance out my ratios. Every time I stir it, it stirs up the funk, so I'm interested to see what the overwhelming funk is tonight. It smells sour, but it's like a new sour. There's definitely some stuff happening here. Okay. So, looks kind of back to normal. My bowl's getting full. I mean, it doesn't smell as bad as it did yesterday, which is nice. So I'm gonna cover it back up again, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we've got some more growth. Alright you guys, we've made it to day 5. I'm honestly shocked that I've made it this far. It's been a rough night. I look rough, just things have been rough. So I'm just gonna get through this as fast as I can. It looks pretty similar to how it looked yesterday. There's a lot of that gooky water on the top. I don't know if you saw that. You can't really see the water, but it's like gooky. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. I'm gonna put more than a quarter cup of flour in it and just a quarter cup of water. And mix it in. It's a little bit soured, but it's starting to smell like, not like a dairy product. But there you go. This is what it looks like now. 2 more days. 2 more days and it'll be ready for bread. Alright guys, I can't believe we're already at day 6. Tomorrow, well actually today, because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I've not had a fabulous night. Anyway, my phone's on 7%. I gotta hurry up and do this. But anyway, it should be showing definitive signs of life. And it's like bubbly around the edges, and instead of being like super gray, the water on top is kind of yellowish. I can't show you the water, but anyway, it's there. So same deal, I'm gonna put more flour than water, just trying to even everything out. Another concern that I've had is that it's not getting warm enough. So I'm gonna be putting warm water, not hot, but warm water in it, just because it's been colder the last couple of days. So we'll see if that helps at all. Okay, It's like a lot thicker. I will say that I didn't wash my fork from last night, so I had to wash it today, and it was like glue. It was awful trying to get it off, so I'm really honestly not looking forward to cleaning this bowl after this is all over. Alright. It looks like bread dough. It has a pretty mundane funk smell to it. It's not like any particular smell. But there we go. My bowl is getting quite full. Good thing I only have one more day of feeding and such. I actually have to look at that. Today might be the last feed before I can use it. I might be able to use it tomorrow, in which case I'll be making bread tomorrow. So I'll have to check that out, but I'll check in with you then and let you know how everything's going. And this is going to be the last day that I put in this video, but here in the next couple of weeks you'll be able to see me doing videos on different recipes and things that I plan on using this starter for. So what we have here is more of that brown liquid on top, which you can't see. So the research that I've done indicates that the brown liquid that's on top is perfectly fine and normal. It's called hooch. I'm assuming that it might have some kind of alcohol content to it. I don't really know. But what I saw, and you guys know I've been leaving it in and then just adding more flour, but what I saw indicated a couple of things. First of all, that what you'll do is just pour that liquid off. And so I'm going to do that today. And then also, I've been putting too much water in it, or I've been waiting too long between feedings. So both of those things are potentially true. So what I'm going to do is kind of baby it a little bit for the next couple of days. My house is pretty cold, and it may be that this is not fermenting and getting bubbly like it should because of how cold my house is, and particularly this room. So I may move it elsewhere in the house, but also I'm using tap water, and tap water is chlorinated, and it's got a bunch of other chemicals in it that inhibit bacteria growth, and that's why we do that, but it's not really good for doing this kind of thing. So it is still progressing, it is still fine, but it's not as mature as it should be. What I also saw is that even if you're doing everything right, it takes up to 2 weeks to get a really strong starter going that's going to have the type of flavor that you want in your sourdough starter. So over the next week, I am going to baby this and try and get it up to where it needs to be. I'm going to move it to a warmer place in the house. I'm going to check it twice a day to make sure it doesn't need to be fed anymore. I'm going to move it to a different bowl. But right now, as it stands, this can be used for lightly risen products like pancakes and stuff like that. Stuff that doesn't need to stand super tall, like bread and muffins and stuff. So I am going to start using a little bit of it because I've got several cups of starter in here, and I don't really need that much. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I picked a particular way of going about this that would not require me to take out halves, where you do it and then the next day you take out half of it and you add some, and you take out half and then you add some, because that just is bonkers to me. So I'm not going to do that, but at this point, because it is it's got a good funk to it, I am going to start using it in some like I said, like pancakes and stuff like that, where I don't have to have it like super risen. Maybe some cookies, something like that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pour off the hooch that's on top, and then I've got warm water again like I did yesterday. I'm going to use that warm water to put in here and try and get up the temperature just a little bit because it looks, I know you can't tell it in the video, but it is significantly bubblier today. I have poured off my hooch. I'm going to add more than a 1/4 cup of the flour, and then slightly less than a 1/4 cup of the water, and stir it up and smell it again. That's what I've been doing. It's definitely like super glutinous, which is what I'm wanting to see. And pouring that hooch off definitely helped to not make it so runny, and I'm glad to see that. Okay, so like I said, tomorrow I'm going to be putting this in a larger container, or at least a different one. I'm wanting to clean it, because this is just kind of a little bit outside my comfort zone here, but it smells, you know, pleasantly soured. I like the smell of soured fermented things, so that has a good funk as far as I'm concerned. Like, again, I don't really know what I'm doing. I've never done this before, but it's got a good funk to it. So I'm gonna use, instead of throwing it out, because we are at this stage in fermentation, you know, the yeast culture is not super strong in this, but I am gonna be able to use it in some products that don't have to rise a whole bunch, instead of commercial yeast or baking powder, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna cover it up, and I think I'm probably gonna move it into my kitchen, but that's pretty much it. You know, this video is not so much of a how-to video, but it's just kind of showing that you can do it. You don't have to know what you're doing. You can do the research, and you might mess it up. I haven't done a fabulous job, but it's not a complete fail either. You know, I plan to keep this and keep it going, and see if I can get a more rich smell coming from it, and then at that point I will, hopefully in another week or so, be able to use that in sourdough bread. Wild yeast, like what we've been propagating here, has to rise when you are making the bread. It has to rise much, much, much longer than what you would have in your little yeast packets or in your little jar of yeast that you get that's a commercially prepared strain. So be prepared for that if you're going to be using it in the future. I think a friend of mine did hers, and I think she had it rising for like 18 hours. So she like made it one morning and then didn't do it until late that night, maybe. I don't remember how she did it. Maybe she did it that night and then she made the bread that next afternoon. But anyway, be prepared for that, and just do your research. Make sure that you know what bad starter looks like. I'm still comfortable using this because I've educated myself and I know what bad starter looks like. If you have funky colors, not that brown liquid's fine. But if you have mold growing on top, if you have streaks of color running through it, do your research, because that may be something that you need to toss and try again later. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you around.